Ah, Sita, ah, Lakshman. So wailed Maricha, aping Rama's voice, and Sita was deceived, trembling like a plantain tree in a gale. She cried, Lakshman, there, can you not hear your brother calling? Hurry, go to him this moment. But Lakshman, who knew the demon's cunning, would not stir, frantic with fear. Sita pleaded over and over in an anguish of dread. I hear my lord's voice in distress. Go, go this instant. Do not linger. Some great peril has fallen on him. Did you not catch his cry for aid? Your brother is ringed round by Rakshasas, and instead of flying to his rescue, you stand rooted here. But Lakshman knew the tricks of the Rakshasas, and he had not forgotten his brother's charge to keep Sita safe. So he would not move, and Sita, wild with fear and doubt, flew into a rage. She struck her breast with both her hands and, past all control, cast at him the most cruel words she could summon. Son of Sumitra, are you too become an enemy? She cried. Have you played a part all these years, only biding your time for Rama to die, feigned to be his friend? Did you all the while long for his death, that you might have me for yourself? Why else refuse to go when he calls for help? Traitor, deceiver. The cruel words drove into Lakshman's heart like poisoned darts, and he pressed his hands over his ears. Then, gently, he spoke to Sita, who wept with fury. Vaidehi, their lives no foe in all the world that Rama cannot meet and master. There is no cause for fear. O revered as a mother, nothing in the universe is strong enough to do him harm. What you have spoken is unworthy of you, my mother, Lakshman said. You shall surely see Rama come back and the stag you wished for with him. The voice we heard was never his. It is a demon's trick. My brother set me here to watch over you, and I cannot disobey him. Do not bid me leave you alone. But Sita's terror rose to a frenzy, and with eyes reddened by anger, she flung out words more terrible still. Sheltering behind your brother's command, you stand unshaken by his cry of agony, content to let him perish. How utterly you have deceived the two of us all these long years. Base, wicked, selfish creature that calls itself a brother. Do you take joy that Rama is in deadly danger? Sita cried. Has Bharat put you up to this? Have you all banded in some wicked plot against my lord? Know this beyond doubt. When Rama dies, I die with him. Her fury broke over the guiltless Lakshman, and her words seared into him like iron drawn from the fire. Lakshman folded his hands as in worship. O mother, O goddess, how can such words come from your lips? They scald my ears like molten iron. Cruel and unjust are these fancies of yours, with all the gods for my witnesses. Your suspicion wrongs me utterly. I fear some great calamity is about to fall upon you. Else you could never speak so. And the innocent prince trembled at the disaster he felt drawing near. But Sita cried on, Here is dry wood in plenty. I shall set it alight and cast myself in, or I shall drown in the Godavari, or take my own life, unless you run this moment to Rama's aid. Once more I ask you, will you go, or shall I perish? She beat her breast and wept, and Lakshman could endure it no longer. Lifting his hands in solemn reverence, he said, So be it, sister. I shall do as you bid and disobey my brother. I shall leave you alone here. May the gods of the forest guard you. I read evil omens all about me, and I greatly fear. Whether I shall ever see you again beside Rama, I do not know. Yet I go. And so he went against his will, turning to look back again and again. His heart weighed down with anger and grief. How could he forget Sita's cruel words? Sorely was that prince wounded, who had given up all to stand at his brother's side. Yet duty to Rama's honor and Sita's own threats of death had driven him at last from her side. Lakshman set off in the direction Rama had taken, and Ravana, who had been lying in wait for just this moment, now came toward the hermitage. He had made himself over into a wandering ascetic, robed in clean saffron, his lips shaping lovely hymns of the Veda, while in his heart crouched the foulest of all evils. Sita stood at the doorway of the hut, her eyes upon the forest, watching eagerly for Rama's return. Ravana looked upon her, and at the sight, the longing that Surapankha had sown in him struck root and shot up beyond all restraint. More than ever, he was set on making Sita his own. Seeing the wandering ascetic in his saffron, his water pot and staff in hand, Sita greeted him with respect, as reverence for holy men required. He asked her hospitality, and as duty bade, she gave him a seat and set fruits and roots before him. The ascetic sat, and again let his eyes rest on Sita, and his desire burned hotter still. Sinful as he was, Ravana wished not to take her by force, but to win her willing consent and make her his wife. He hoped she might yield to his riches and his power and turn away from poverty-struck Rama, and so the better disgrace his foe. So he began, with a warmth ill-befitting an ascetic, to praise her loveliness. "Who are you?" he asked. "Why are you here alone, in a forest thick with rakshasas and wild beasts?" Astonished, Sita answered his questions, all the while keeping her gaze on the doorway, hoping her lord would soon appear. And little by little, the stranger began to let slip who he truly was. He spoke of the greatness of his birth and his house, of his power and his wealth. Then, having exalted himself, he disparaged Rama and ended, "Be my wife and live in glory with me in Lanka. Come, let us be gone." In that sudden moment, Sita's own purity lent her the courage to stand against the monster she now saw him to be. "Base and wicked one, your ruin is at hand," Sita said, hissing like an angry cobra. "Leave this ashram, this instant, if you would keep your life." At that, the Rakshas flew into a rage. He flung away all his disguise and gentleness, and put on his real and dreadful shape of overbearing wickedness. With one hand, he caught her by the hair, and with another, he lifted her up, and bore her to the chariot waiting behind the trees. Thrusting her into it, Ravana rose with her into the air. "Oh my lord, where are you, my Rama?" Sita wailed. "Oh Lakshman, truest of friends, why, in my stubborn folly, did I drive you away?" The Rakshasa held her fast and drove on through the sky in his flying car. Sita called down to the trees and the plants below, begging them to tell Rama what had become of her. And it chanced that old Jatayu, drowsing upon a great tree, saw the chariot sweep past and was startled awake by the woman's cry of distress. In a moment, Jatayu was fully awake and knew Sita by her voice. She saw him too and cried to him for rescue. The old eagle's blood took fire at her piteous state, and he flung himself across the path of the flying car, crying, "Stop! Stop! What is all this? The king of Lanka bears me off by force," Sita wailed. "But what can you do to hinder it, my poor old friend? Oh, fly to Rama and Lakshman and tell them of my helpless plight." But the fighting blood of Jatayu, the blood of lordly forebears who had ruled the air and feared nothing, was already ablaze in him. He cared nothing for Ravana or all his might. He saw only a princess in distress. Remembering his old friend Dasharatha and his love for Rama, He resolved that this outrage should not be done while he lived to prevent it. O king, he called to Ravana, I am Jatayu, king of the eagles, a king, even as you are. Hold back from this wicked deed. How can you name yourself a king and do so shameful a wrong? Jatayu cried, Is it not the law of kings to guard the honor of women? A princess is Sita. Be warned. Your death is certain unless you set her down and go your way. In your bosom, you nurse a venomous serpent. The noose of Yam is already about your necks. Old and weaponless am I, and you are young and fully armed and seated in your car, Jatayu said. Yet, I cannot look on while you bear Sita away. Why do this cowards deed behind Rama's back? If some grievance you have, face him man to man. Step down from your chariot and do battle. Unless you are coward no less than thief. Ravana flared up in fury and fell upon Jatayu. It was as when a great wind dashes against a towering rain cloud. The battle raged in the sky above the forest, and Jatayu fought like a winged mountain. Ravana hurled deadly darts at him, but the eagle struck them all aside, and with his talons rent the Rakshasa's flesh. The enraged Rakshasa loosed sharp, serpent-like shafts against the bird. Jatayu was grievously wounded, yet fought on undaunted, while Sita watched the unequal struggle with a pounding heart and streaming eyes. The sight of her only spurred the old eagle to fiercer onslaughts, though his many years were fast wearing him down. Gathering all his strength for one supreme effort and reckless of his wounds, Jatayu threw himself upon Ravana. With his mighty wings, he knocked the jeweled crown from the demon's head and sent it tumbling, and struck the bow from his grasp. Then he fell upon the chariot itself, and for a moment the battle swung the brave bird's way. He slew the demon-faced mules and the charioteer, and smashed the flying car into 1,000 fragments. Ravana crashed to the ground, still gripping Sita in his arms, and all the elements took joy to see the tyrant flung down. For one shining moment, it seemed the good old bird might yet carry the day. The gallant old bird swooped down upon Ravana's back and tore great pieces of flesh from it, laboring to wrench away the arms that held Sita. But Ravana had 20 arms. No sooner was one dragged off than another closed in its place, and Sita was held fast in writhing helplessness, unable to win free. At last, Ravana let Sita go, and drawing his sword, sheared off the old eagle's wings and talons. The brave bird, so cruelly maimed, could fight no longer. Helpless and broken, Jatayu fell to the earth, unable so much as to stir. His valiant defense ended at last by the demon's pitiless blade. Sita ran to the fallen bird and folded him in her arms, weeping, "O my father, your life you have laid down for my sake. To my lord you were a father's equal, and now you are gone. O friend so brave and true." She clung to the dying eagle, her heart breaking for the noble creature who had spent his life to save her. Then, Ravana turned back to snatch her up once more. Helplessly she darted this way and that, crying out, clutching at the trees. "O my Rama, where are you? O Lakshman, where are you? Will you not come to save me?" But there was none to hear, and at last the Rakshasa seized her again and rose once more into the air. As the dark and massive Ravana flew on through the sky with her, Sita, struggling in his grip, seemed a flash of lightning across a vast black cloud. The Rakshasa bearing her looked like a mountain wrapped in forest fire, and his body, lit by her radiance, streaked across the heavens like a calamitous comet foretelling doom. So was Sita carried away by the Rakshasa, and in that dreadful hour the sun grew dim, and an untimely darkness settled upon the earth. All living things lamented aloud. Dharma is undone. Righteousness has fled. Virtue and pity are no more. And even the speechless creatures of the earth looked up and wept in silence. Ravana, cruelly clasping the princess, flew onward as though toward his own destruction. As she was borne along, the petals fell from the flowers she wore and drifted down over the path below, as if to herald the coming scattering of Ravana's own fortune and the ruin his crime had now made sure. Below, the good bird Jatayu lay broken and dying on the forest floor. His wings shone from him, his valiant life draining away. He had thrown himself, old and unarmed, against the mightiest of demons for the sake of a friend's wife and the honor of Dharma. And though he had failed to save her, his sacrifice would not be wasted. For Jatayu held to life with his last strength, resolved to wait until Rama should come, that he might tell him which way the demon had fled and who had wrought this terrible deed. So the faithful bird held death itself at bay, that his final act might yet serve the Lord he loved. Such was the greatness of the good bird Jatayu. Far away, Rama was hastening homeward, and Lakshmana came running to meet him, drawn on by the same nameless dread. Neither yet knew the full horror of what had passed. That the hermitage stood empty, that Sita was gone, and that a faithful old friend lay dying in the woods, with the truth upon his lips. So the great sorrow of the Ramayana came at last to pass. Sita, the pure and gentle, was being borne away toward golden Lanka. Jatayu, the brave and faithful, lay dying for her sake. And Rama, all unknowing, drew near the empty hut where his happiness had dwelt. The peaceful days of the forest were ended forever. The carrying off of Sita was the deed that turned the whole world toward war. From this single crime would flow the alliance with the Vanaras, the building of the Great Bridge, the siege of Lanka, and the fall of Ravana. In bearing away the wife of Rama, the demon king had sealed his own doom and the doom of all his race. And the good bird Jatayu, who gave his life in a cause already lost, won an undying place in the hearts of all who love this tale, for he teaches that it is nobler to fight and fall for the right, however great the odds, than to stand aside in safety. His name is honored still, wherever the Ramayana is told. So Sita was lost, and Jatayu fell, and darkness lay over the earth. But the dying bird still waited for Rama, and Rama even now was hurrying home to a grief he could not yet imagine. The next star would bring the finding of the empty hut and the beginning of Rama's long and sorrowful search for his beloved